Starting a business, juggling
So
tasks, and the
talk
power of
about
smart
something.
networking.
Talk about
Let's
something
dive
like when you first
in.
started your company, like you kind of struggled with, right? Like it kind of kicked your butt, but now you're like, man, this is so easy. I can understand why I struggle with this.
Yeah, so that's one something that comes to mind is just product and service definitions. So at the beginning, it's hard to figure out, what is in demand and what companies need, and yeah, basically what services and products you want to offer to the world. And then, as over some time, you have some customers, they have some requests from you, like, we started getting a lot of requests for penetration tests, for example, and compliance work. And then it just becomes very apparent, what is in demand, what's needed from other people, or needed by other people. And then it sort of makes sense, it sort of becomes obvious.
And then how do you decide like what you need to do as a CEO yourself and what you can delegate to someone else?
So I think that it is a difficult thing, a lot of times because especially if you're a perfectionist or if you have sort of that mentality about things, you really want to have a hand in everything that's going on. But there comes a point where you just have to trust your people. Like there's a lot of really smart people. You surround yourself with very smart people. I'm surrounded with a bunch of geniuses. So it would be foolish for me to try to take on the world myself.
And then how do you do your schedule every day? Like you like kind of wing it every day. You have a calendar each day. Like how do you like do your schedule?
Yeah, so we have, there's people that schedule meetings on our calendar a lot of the time, and then, I'll book some time for my own work, if there's something that I need to get done, things like that.
And then like how much do you actually get to the nooks and crannies stuff? How do you often you actually doing the cybersecurity stuff yourself?
So fortunately, I try to maintain a balance personally because I enjoy the work. So it would be important for me to, not lose my skill set, and so I definitely try to stay technical.
And then like do you have to as far as your certifications, you have to go do those every 2 or 3 years also?
Yeah, I usually maintain the
Okay.
certifications, the ones that are important to me. I let the ones expire that I don't see value in.
Okay. Is there a college that's like known as like the best cybersecurity college in the United States?
Well, it's hard for me to answer that because I don't know the list of them. But I mean, there's the sort of the obvious ones like MIT
Mm-hmm.
and like I went to Virginia Tech, which is a pretty good one. And then there's some other ones. I think there is the NSA has a program, and you can look up a list of the colleges that work with them and participate with NSA. I don't remember what it was called, but it should be pretty easy to find if you want to find that.
And I'm guessing all your customers are across the United States.
Yeah, so we have customers throughout the United States, and then we have a few in Canada and things like that.
Okay. And then do you have a limit of how many customers you can handle?
It definitely depends on the type of project. So, if somebody is asking for something that's pretty lightweight from us, then we can handle more concurrently. But if there's a lot of work going on, then there is a limit.
And your customer, they pay you by the month, by project. How does that work?
So most of the time, it is by project. So we'll give them a quote for the work that they're asking for, and then we'll go through that. We have some software that we sell as well, so that is sort of similar to your software, where it's subscription model, and then there are some recurring business models as well.
What advice do you have someone who wants to start a business?
So I think the key is if you're trying to start a business, I would say try to minimize the risk to yourself if you can. So if you already have like a good paying job at Microsoft and you're thinking, hey, I want to start a venture, there's no reason to quit your job. You can if you can start sort of planting the seeds and watering them on the side, and try to build a foundation first before you take that risk.
So what happened to tell you that you know what this business is gonna make it? How did you know? Okay, this is gonna be successful.
Well, I mean, the short answer is just revenue. So I saw a certain point where I believe that there was it was possible to sustain.
Um, how competitive is it in the cybersecurity industry? Like, are you competing against other companies for customers? How competitive is that?
It is somewhat competitive, but there's an emphasis and a lack of quality in the industry. And, I'm not much of a mudslinger or anything, but there are quite a few companies out there that are basically selling tin cans, so to speak. They'll have a lot of marketing in place, but the quality of what they're actually selling to people and the work that they provide is not very good. So
That's a good question. How do you approach that? Suppose you talk to a potential customer. They said, you know what, Cody, I'm going to go with Jason's cybersecurity company, and you know in your mind that Jason's cyber company is like full of crap, has a lot of holes, not ethical. Like, how do you handle? Like, do you like throw them on the bus, or you just like try to make yourself look better?
yeah, so we would never, we would never throw them under the bus or anything like that. We would never talk badly about any other companies that are out there. But we would just sort of emphasize without describing their product at all, just emphasize, here are the things that we do and that we do very well.
So, how do you convince a potential customer to use your company?
So I think it's, sales is one of those things that's it's sort of an interesting and complicated topic. It's something that I wouldn't say that I'm excellent at by any stretch of the imagination, but it's sort of, when you're talking to somebody that has a need, and you basically should just really listen closely to what what it is that they're looking for, what it is they need, and then, try to represent yourself in that way and fill all those requirements, and then, try to come in at a price point that makes sense.
And do you ever speak at like any cybersecurity conferences?
I've done a few. I've done
Yeah.
a few of those presentations, yeah.
Okay. And so, me and you met at a networking event that Santa put on. Can you talk about how networking plays into your company?
I think networking is critical. It is one of those things where for some people it sounds sort of funny going around, shaking hands and going to parties and talking to people and things. But your network, especially in the early stages of a company, is the most important part of your company. The people that you know, the people that trust you, the people that you work with, those people all matter, more than almost any other factor in the business.
Yeah, and then you never know when it's going to pay off. Like that event we went to, Cellnet, Jaime invited me to it, right? And that day I had a bad day. I was tired. Like, I'm not going this. Something told me, Jason, go. And I met like you. I met like 5, 6 other people, right? That I would never met if I didn't go, right? And I came very close not to go because I was just tired. I was like not in a good mood. Like, man, I told you I was going. I'll just go for a few minutes. I didn't stay the whole night. It was a good time. Met a lot of great people there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you don't feel like socializing, but then you go out and it becomes worth it.
Yeah, it definitely does. So how often do you do networking? Like once a month, twice a month?
So it sort of depends upon like the phase that I'm in. So when I first got to Seattle, I was going to every event that basically showed up anywhere. And then over time I started going a little bit less, and then I go a little bit more. So it sort of fluctuates.
For your company, is there like phases? Like is 1 month more busy, another month, or the lags, or like pretty much like even kill work throughout the whole year?
Oh, it's definitely phases. Yeah, it's definitely phases. It's not consistent, and yeah, that's one of those things where you have to still, in my industry, it's a little bit easier because, a project can be worth a lot of money. So one project can be worth a lot. But if you're hoping for consistent smaller projects to sustain your company, it can be difficult if there's a down month.
Does this happen? Like suppose I'll make this up. Suppose Bank of America's hacked. Do your customer call and say, "Hey, Cody, Bank of America got hacked. I think I got hacked too."
We don't typically. I don't think we've ever run to that case where there's another company that's been hacked and then somebody sort of assumed that they've been hacked because of that. But it is sort of there are trends. So if there is like I mentioned, the payment processors earlier. A lot of times if there's a group out there going and doing payment processing, they're targeting payment processors all the time, then it's more likely that one of our customers that's a payment processor might have an issue.
So kids are on the social media like at early age now, all over the internet, all the different social media platforms. What should parents be doing to protect their kids on social media and from hackers?
Well, I would say especially with the way the internet is nowadays, and there's a lot of kind of crazy stuff out there. If I were to be approaching that problem, I'm not sure I would give my kid access to the internet pretty much at all, just personally. But I think that at the very least, like heavy parental controls, a lot of restrictions, because beyond like the hacking and all these other things, there's a lot of stuff out on the internet that I would say is not good for a child to have access to.
So I'm guessing for cybersecurity people, attention to detail is like a big characteristic. Are there other characteristics that a cybersecurity person should have?
So I think attention to detail is probably the biggest one, of course. You know, ability to. I think one thing that's one trait in cybersecurity that's a little bit harder to find is understanding the business context and the business side of cybersecurity. So there's a lot of very smart technical people in cyber. So there's a lot of people who are really good at writing code and doing things on the keyboard. But it's more difficult to keep the business perspective in place. If you imagine perfect security, like perfect cybersecurity, would be unplugging all of the computers. Right?
Yeah.
So then nobody could do any work. So there's, and if you even a less extreme example, the more restrictions you add to somebody's computer, the harder it is for them to do their job. So there's sort of a balance there, and so keeping the context of, hey, we want to protect these guys, but also it's really important that they're able to do their business and make money.
So I'm assuming all your people are very technical, know they're doing, but how do you make sure they are like customer service friendly and doing the customer service stuff?
Well, there's some people that are more, comfortable, being customer facing, and then there's people who are less comfortable, and so we just base it on that. I think everybody's very honest. Everybody is very humble, and if they don't want to go talk to customers, they usually will just say it.
Yeah. So how do you see yourself growing in the next few years?
You mean company-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so hopefully, we can expand our customer base and just get more people on board. We have some software initiatives that we're working on, but I think really the short answer is, we're just hoping to get a lot more customers on board.
Yeah. So back to running and biking. You said you run a bike every day, once a week.
So biking has been a little bit on the slow for some time because my bike's in disrepair and not nearby. But I run all the time, yeah.
Okay, just run around by your house, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I'll run down by the pier,
Okay.
my favorite place.
Do you have any favorite hiking trails?
Yeah, I mean, I've been with some people. Truthfully, I don't really pay super close attention to where I'm hiking.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times other people are planning it for me, and then we'll just go with them.
Go with the flow?
Mhm.
Okay. And you're not from Seattle, though, are you?
No,
Where are you from?
the Bay Area.
Bay Area, okay.
Yeah, near San Francisco.
Okay, nice. And you started your company here in Seattle, down the Bay Area.
So originally I started my company in Texas.
Okay, that's right.